I feel I'm at the point where I want to break away from limitations placed on me in terms of the full use of my talents and skills. So I do feel that entrepreneurship is the way forward. So for me, what is your why? Why do you want to do this? What is your ultimate reason why? Not just make money. Money cannot be your why, because there's so many ways you can make money in this world. The whole 2020 people made so much money in 2020 during the pandemic via computer. So there are many ways to make money. So what is your why? What drives you? If you don't have this intrinsic drive as to why you're doing this, then this will either be short-lived or you won't have the energy to pursue to. Let's give up on it very easily.
Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey, the podcast where we share valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to podcasts and be part of this journey. Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you, whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Good day and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey. Today we have with us Bynta Ernest. Bynta is a public policy professional specializing in the areas of human rights and gender. She is the founder and principal consultant of Rights-Based Solutions Consultancy, which was established in 2022. Bynta and I are also very good friends. We met in college, and I'm just so glad that we've kept in touch and that we're here today. Welcome, Bynta.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Clarita.
All right. And thanks for making the time. I know we're all very busy people, so I appreciate any time that I'm given.
It's not a problem. For you, definitely.
All right. So I saw that you did something amazing recently. Tell us what that was.
Okay, I think you're referring to my LinkedIn post, my social media post. I actually climbed Petit Piton, which is the third highest mountain in Saint Lucia. It's third highest, but it is one of the most precarious hikes of any mountains that Saint Lucia has. And it was on my bucket list for a number of years. But because I've been hearing the climb at your own risk kind of warnings, I decided, Bynta, do you really want to do this? But I finally decided on Saturday. My friend was here from Barbados, a bunch of Gen adventurers who came down, and I decided to attempt this walk. But it wasn't a walk, it wasn't a hike. This was literally a climb because I was on my fours, my hands. I think all my nails are broken right now, and my watch is all scratched up. And it was fine. I was like, okay, it's steep, until I saw a sheer vertical rock wall. Vertical with just ropes dangling, and I was like, the guy who said he heard me blow out some expletives. I can't remember I did that, but apparently I did that. And I didn't think I could have climbed this wall, because like, how am I climbing a vertical rock wall? I have never seen this before. I think in my post I asked my upper body, I questioned my upper body, it said no, but my determination did say yes. I finally decided to move my shoes and actually climbed the rock wall without shoes, and I pulled myself up onto a ledge, a cliff. It was the most adventurous, and it was, I said, very life-changing as well. You begin to see yourself in a different light as well, to see that through adversity, you can actually push through adversity. And I think that definitely is a metaphor for how I live my life, because life has not been without adversities, living through current adversities. And I think it's your perspective. Do I turn around and say, nah, I can't do this adversity? Or do I keep on pushing? Because this was only one of the many other walls I had to climb and crevices I had to climb through before I arrived at the top of Petit Piton. So this for me is definitely a metaphor for my life. And I think I used that same, I said the same thing in 2021, I think, or 20, when I did the walk around the island, which is 88 miles. I did it in 23 hours of just walking from point A, come around the island to that same point again. And that where I lost a couple of toenails in the process. But that in itself, I think, sometimes reminds me, because sometimes you do forget that you do have the willpower to continue to face the adversities in life. But it reminds me that I do have what it takes to push through. But also, most importantly, when we finally came from the wall and the crevices, it was also a team effort. So never forget that, despite the fact that you may have this inner strength, always remember that there are people you need to lean on, and don't be afraid to lean on people to help get you to the next level until you get to the place that you want to be.
Wow. Thanks so much for sharing that. And while I'm listening to you, I'm thinking that it also reminds me looking at people who've gone before you, because those are things I would love to do, but I have not done it. So it's nice to hear that you did it and like what it took to get there. And maybe one day I might, but just I'm just happy to live through you.
Try Gopito. Gopito is not bad.
Well,
Yeah,
that one I've
Gopito,
tried and I enjoyed it.
yeah,
Yes.
Gopito is nice.
All right. And for those listening who plan to visit St. Lucia anytime soon, or maybe have not made any plans, but you just heard what Binta said and you want to try it, St. Lucia is happy to have you. So feel free to visit. Yes. So Binta, thanks so much for that. And I'm sure as we talk some more, we will see how that personality, the way that you approach life is probably some of what you bring into business with you. So I can't wait to hear more about your business journey. And let's start off with rapid fire segment that we have. Can you tell us one word that describes you now, and one word that described you as a child?
Okay, I think I had assertive in both cases, but I always say talkative. I've always been known to be a talkative child. Like my entire school journey, from what I can remember, teachers always put me aside or had to call upon me for talking too much. And I think as an adult, I also still talk quite a bit. And I think that it serves me well in the roles that I have in terms of gender and human rights. I do a lot of training in gender and human rights, and it calls for a lot of talking, and also talking in terms of advocating for gender and human rights as well.
Yes, and I love that, Binta. And we I'm listening to you because we're so similar like that. We know each other very well, and we both know that we used to have a lot of chats because we both talk a lot. Okay, so so can you tell us a little bit more about your business, the name of your business, and you mentioned some of the things that you do, but if you can just tell us a little bit more about what you do in business.
Okay, Rights-Based Solutions was established in 2022, but I didn't do nothing much with it. It was just like I want the business, but I had no idea where to go. But in 2025, which is this year, I actually became more focused, extremely focused on in terms of being strategic, in terms of making it grow, in terms of making it, have that household name, not household name really, but for it to be known within the development circles. So that's what I've been doing over the last couple of months, really from last year until where we are right now, March. And yeah, this has been it. So 2025 has been my year of strategy and making the connections, having the networks in order to spread the word about rice-based solutions.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. And when you said spread the word, I know I've listened to quite a few podcasts that you've been on, and I've heard the energy come through, the passion for what you do. So yeah, keep doing that. You're doing amazing. And are you doing this full time or part time?
Oh, right now it's part-time. I'm a full-time employee with the government of Saint Lucia, but it's right now it's part time. I do actually do individual consultancy, but the intention has been to have an agency, have this one-stop area where development partners can come to if they want information on, they want guidance or advisory services on communications, on gender, on human rights, disability rights, climate change. Because in St. Lucia, I know a lot of people do consultancy individually, but I just envision having a place which is women led and giving women space as well to empower themselves through business as well. So yeah, so it's part time for now, and hopefully transitioning hopefully in the near future to maybe that be a full time consultant.
And since you've started, what's one of the best moments you can think of that you've had in business so far?
I think my best moment, what is my best moment? Oh my God, I was thinking of I think my best moment would be literally having the courage to register the business. Because it's still, I'm still in a space whereby I still have this like trepidation. So I think the best moment has been literally just registering it and having that, I think having it registered and seeing it in black and white that you are that gave me like, yo, Bynta, this is it and this is serious. So I think that has been my best moment is just to have it registered, which is actually gets the ball rolling. Because a lot of times, people have a lot of things in their head. I've had many entrepreneurial ideas in my head and they've never been executed. They've just been in my head. And I think having that start, it means that I am actually serious. And, so that's been my best moment.
Congratulations. I'm really glad that you did that. And I know that you will be doing a lot for women and human rights and the gender space, right? And can you think of the opposite of that? Like one of the moments that has not been so good?
Well, the not so good has been what we keep on saying would be imposter syndrome and questioning yourself. So for me, one of the hardest thing for me has been to put a public face to this. And getting on social media has been the hardest journey ever. Hardest. Because I'm like, I'm questioning myself and what I think prior. You live in a fishbowl in a small island. So we still are concerned about, oh, what are people saying? So I think putting my face forward has been the toughest thing ever. So when you see me on social media, this is, I've jumped over some real mental hurdles to get where I am. And, and I think recently I have been meeting with, embassies and introducing myself as the principal consultant, as a founder. My first meeting was, at one of the embassies and I was like, oh my God, it's the most terrifying things ever to come face to face in person with somebody and sell myself. So this has been the hardest, and I think will continue because I still have a lot of them to go through. But I think the first step obviously is the hardest, and I think when you've done it once, you know you have the ability to do it again.
Yes, well, it takes courage for sure. So I'm glad you stepped out in faith anyway, and you did it. And the more you do it, like you said, the easier. Maybe it might not get easy. I don't know because there's always new challenges that come up, but at least you're doing it. And is there a book that you'd recommend, or even a movie?
I thought about this long and hard. I was like, okay, I haven't read for pleasure in a long time. I've been reading for academics. I've been reading a lot of hard books, gender. So I haven't read for pleasure in a while and I haven't read a novel, but I just remember my high five profile. And there are two movies I had down as my favorite movies. And one of them was Whale Rider. I really need to watch this movie again, but it's set in New Zealand, a Maori village in New Zealand. And the premise of the movie is that the protagonist challenges, traditional patriarchal norms. And then she becomes the first female whale rider for her village and she's recognized as the leader. So as a gender person, I'm seeing it in that light. As a non-gender person back in the day, it came out in 2002. I just saw it as a movie of a girl just rocking, actually a girl taking the lead, but I hadn't deconstructed it. Now, when you think as a gender person, you deconstruct everything. So as a gender professional, totally deconstructed it in terms of she's challenging traditional patriarchal norms. And then as a non-gender professional, it was just a movie about, yes, girls rock, and this girl is going to actually be the leader of the village. So that's it. That's my movie, Wheel Rider.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I always, we rock. We women rock, right? So I love that. And we are going to move on now to the begin segment. And I always like to find out, like, what is it that made you say that you want to be an entrepreneur? Or is it something that you've always wanted to do, even as a child?
No, as a child, no, I wanted to become a lawyer, but then I didn't have money to go to law school. No, I never wanted to become, I wanted to become a human rights lawyer. That was always my dream, to become a human rights lawyer, right? And never became a human rights lawyer. But I think what actually propelled my journey to entrepreneurship was being in Geneva on a human rights fellowship. And I realized that, okay, Bynta, you've had this skill set. You are the human rights person trained in Saint Lucia. But you realize that there are many people who don't have that skill set. And you see that I identified there was a gap when it comes to capacity and knowledge in human rights. And I was like, I can actually monetize this, right? That was just my thought. And I was like, I need to find a way to monetize this because there is a gap. There are NGOs who need that knowledge transfer and capacity building, government who actually need it as well, the skill and the capacity development. And if you have this, this can be monetized. So that was my first thought. And I guess after the years go by, it was in the back of my head, but I never actually took the step. But working within the government sector and working in more or less development sector I am in right now, I was you working for an employer, for sure there are constraints, there are limits. And I wanted to explore doing more in the social impact and development sector that I wanted to do without any limits placed on me. So I felt that Winter, this idea, you need to push it further because it will allow you to actually explore further what you want to do in development and social impact. And it brings me to autonomy. So in some respects, obviously, I don't have full autonomy because I work within a sector which has certain rules and certain norms. And I think entrepreneurship for me was a way, I believe, to regain autonomy or to live more fully in my autonomy. And another reason I think is that women dominate the social impact sector. We are a lot of us who are volunteer. Oh God, we give a lot of sweat equity. We in this community, volunteering here, raising funds there. And what I find women have found that they've been guilty in terms of trying to monetize the skills that they actually acquire in the social impact sector because we've been so conditioned to take care of everybody else. And people think we have to take care of people and the community for free. So it was a way for me to say I deserve to be monetize my skills and my knowledge because people who have in the hard sciences, accounting, they monetize their skills and they monetize. And when it comes to the social impact sector, oh, volunteer your time, volunteer. I volunteer all the time and I will never stop volunteering. But I also think that there is a space for people like me who have skills and who have a skill set and knowledge and they can be monetized for that. So this is my main reason. And then I pulled a couple of women along with me to have them experience what I want to experience as a collective, as women. Yeah, so that is my reason for actually going into entrepreneurship.
Great. I'm just trying to figure out, was there something else? I know you mentioned Geneva. Like, were there conversations that happened, or I know you said you saw things happening, like you can see women volunteer a lot. But I'm wondering, what was it that really caused you to decide at that point to be like, let's make a change here?
Well, as I said, I think there's a lot of limitations placed on me as a professional where I am placed. And I think I want to break out of these limitations because there's so many things that I want to explore and I can explore. And if I feel that maybe my talent is not being fully utilized, which I believe that is not, and I know where it can be utilized, where it can be appreciated, or as an individual, as I said, I do consultancy as an individual, and I've seen how it works. I have a mentor, so I'm seeing how it's worked through her as well, but I'm seeing how it works, and I'm like, this is the space that I want to be in. It is not an easy space. I'm not saying it's like easy, like, oh, you can just make millions of dollars just by entering the space. It is still like what I call a very hustle culture, in consultancy. But when you get to fully utilize your skills and talents for any particular job that you actually undertake. So whether I take a stakeholder engagement consultancy, I'm utilizing my full talents and skills in that. If I undertake a rapporteur consultancy, I'm actually utilizing my full talent in, in terms of drafting, in terms of synthesizing information. I'm utilizing the full potential of my skills. So I think that for me, I feel I'm at the point where I want to break away from limitations placed on me in terms of the full use of my talents and skills. So and I do feel that entrepreneurship is the way forward. But again, I can do it at an individual level, but I really wanted to do it as an agency to bring others along and give other people and through networking with other professionals from all over the world and see how I can actually have an agency that is in Saint Lucia. Because Saint Lucia doesn't have, I think we have, there's one, there's none of this concept, which is really in Saint Lucia. And I wanted to be that and actually be one of the first to actually step into that kind of concept. Because the one that's in Saint Lucia is actually not Saint Lucian-owned. It's from another nearby country. And so this is a Saint Lucian-owned, and it's the first I want to of its kind. And hopefully in the future, I do have plans to see it grow into a full-fledged agency development agency, which can support projects and development across the region, not only in Saint Lucia.
Okay, great. And you mentioned you have a mentor. How did you meet this mentor, and what is it like working with a mentor?
Oh God. When I first asked Julie to be my mentor, I felt as if I was proposing. It's like now I know how it feels when people propose to people. Because I met Julie how many years ago? 2, 3 years ago. She, I volunteered with Impact Consulting, and Impact Consulting where we do pro bono consulting. I actually had one stint. I had once, yeah, I was on the team for partnerships. I think. Yeah. And then I was in charge of Latin America and the Caribbean. And I had to just look for people who had knowledge and skills in ESG. I never knew what ESG was. ESG is environmental social governance. It's a broader version of CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. But it's a bigger version of that, where agencies or companies have to ensure that how are the environmental policies affect, how rights based is it? What are the social policies and what are the governance policies? Your governance policies if you're in-house, what policies you have in place that are rights-based policies. So I went on LinkedIn and I just looked for people ESG Latin America, and she popped up. And I sent her a message, my little spiel. She popped up and I was like, she's sure. She did the interview, the webinar with us on the 22nd of February. I remember that day was Independence. And a couple of maybe weeks or months later, she messaged me and said she's looking for somebody in Saint Lucia to become for stakeholder consultant. I said, well, oh, okay, I can do that. And that's how I ended up working with Rena Consulting, which is based in Washington. So I was the stakeholder engagement consultant on a project here in St. Lucia. And she was the manager of the Latin America division. So after we were done, and she had been time leaving Rena, and she told whoever about me in terms of my work ethic, and I was really proud that she actually spoke my name elsewhere in other circles. But then I think we just stayed in contact, and I asked her, "Would you want to be my mentor?" She said, "Sure." I was like, "Oh my God!" I was so nervous to ask her because I didn't know what that would be. And she's from Latin America, Julia Evans, and she's a full-time consultant, but she also has another job elsewhere with a big company, and she also has her own consultancy. She tried to bring women together from all over the region in Latin America and the Caribbean in different consultants working together. And so she's showing me the ropes in terms of how to be a consultant, how to draft proposals. When she's on meetings, I'm learning from her in the meetings. So that is honestly I'm very thankful. So anything she applies for, I become the gender social consultant on that project because she's an engineering degree she has, environmental engineering degree that she has. So it's just wonderful to have somebody to guide my little newbie consultant self along the way. And I am thankful for that. Yeah.
Wow. And it's somebody you met through LinkedIn, and you were courageous enough to reach out. She was amazing enough to actually answer. And now you both are working together. You have a mentoring relationship. I love that, Bynta.
Yeah, that's my girl.
Yeah, there's so much to take out of that, you know. I mean, it's a whole new world out here where you basically can reach many other people, and then the fact that the two of you connected like that. Have you met in
Yeah,
person?
she came to Saint Lucia for the project, so we met
Oh,
in
that project
person.
was in Saint Lucia.
Yes, and then we had that meeting. But it's just amazing that for me, I'm just glad through her rights-based solutions is at least in the ears of development organizations across the region. We've applied for projects in Belize, applied for projects. We just applied for a project here. Hopefully, we do get that grant. But the organization is its name is being circulated in circles, and that is actually what I want. So yeah, so that has helped through my partnership with her. It has really helped spread the name across Saint Lucia.
Great. And so was she your first real client?
That was in as my first consultancy was years ago. I did a knowledge management consultancy. Like, oh my God, I'm a consultant. That was like so long ago. But Julie became my through her with Rena, it became my first consultancy when I decided this is the route I'm going to. Because I met an amazing consultant on the project from Guyana. He's a full-time consultant based in Washington. And I just told him my situation. So I still work with governments and I'm dabbling in consultancy. Tell me, well, you're doing a good job. What are you doing right now? And he told me like just right now work on building your portfolio. And that's what, because I was the lowest paid consultant on the team, obviously, because I'm just starting out. But to get, just to get feedback from other consultants and people who are in the game and give me this positive feedback, I was like really thankful for people creating that space for me and giving me that advice.
Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Wow, I really love that for you. It looks like you have a lot of support. And it looked like that's kind of how you operate as well, because you mentioned that it's a collective that you're focusing on. Your agency will be basically not just you, but you will be bringing a lot of people together. You do a lot of networking, it sounds like. It also sounds like you travel quite a bit.
Lots of networking. I do lots of networking. And I think LinkedIn has been like, I tell people literally the space where people like reach out to me, consultants on projects reach out to me because I guess if you look for, say, Lucia, gender consultant, you won't see many. There are a few that I know here in St. Lucia, maybe one or two, literally one or two, and me. But I think I have more of a LinkedIn presence. So, people will definitely reach out to me. So as I'm growing, LinkedIn has been a very good space. Because I think I did a last, interview with the Solution Type. This young lady, journalist reached out to me. And it's through, I guess, literally LinkedIn and I'm Googling gender Lucia. Social media has played a very good part in helping me spread my name, spread my expertise, yes, across, I don't know, boundaries, across, I don't know, countries, etc.
That's great. All right, nice. I really love it. And I hope to learn a little bit more about those traveling that you've done. So I know you mentioned Geneva. It sounds like you spent some time in Latin America. Just also tell us a little bit about that. It sounds like the fun side of things.
Well, that's pre consultancy life. I was a foreign service officer for 9 years, so I worked with the government, what we call a diplomat, for 9 years. So I did lots of traveling in Geneva for human rights. I stayed in Mexico for 3 months para aprender español, and un mes en Chile también. So spent 1 month in Chile in the Spanish. But what are these things that helped me? Because have traveled quite a bit. Only place I haven't been to is the motherland, hopefully very soon. I haven't been to Africa. But what are these connections that I have made across multiple countries? I have kept my connections, and I'm very good at keeping connections. And these connections literally is what helps me when I want information on anything. I messaged my friend in the Bahamas recently, hey, I want something on this because Apolitical is an organization in the UK which has really platformed me. Oh my God, my article which has gotten so much reviews, which I need to write more. It's through Apolitical. They reached out to me, had joined a fellowship with them online, and they have been the organization to really platform me as a public servant working in gender and human rights. And through that, it has really helped build my connections again and gives me that level of legitimacy. So what I definitely know, the traveling was pre-consultancy, but what has been happening is that because I've maintained these relationships have really are aiding me right now with me building a name for myself, both here and abroad. Recently here is through my time at Foreign Affairs. I had a connection at the embassy, and she just advocated for me to meet with the ambassador. But with the ambassador, it was an amazing meeting, and hopefully I will have to reply to him. But relationships to me are so important, and connections are so important. I'm thankful for my time at Foreign Affairs, traveling, because the connections I have made have been lifelong, and I still maintain them as of today.
Awesome. That's great. In terms of the name of the business, so the name definitely says exactly what you do. I feel like sometimes we just don't know what that final name would be. So, did you go through a process to decide how to name your business?
Well, I know it had to have rights in it because for me, at core, I am a human rights professional. And everything as it relates to how I think I operate, it needs to be rights based. And I have to have a level of emotional intelligence. I have to think of the other. I'm not perfect. I'm not Mother Teresa in any way, but I try to approach my this life and everything in my professional life with rights at the center of everything that I do. So I am trained in human rights. I did the fellowship for 3 months. I've conducted training many times. I do gender training. I'm currently in a gender program right now, a gender trainer program as we speak. And so what I wanted was to ensure that rights is at the center. And because I'm trained in human rights, I do gender training. I know for sure rights had to be at the center. So I started with the rights centered solutions. It doesn't roll off the tongue the same way. But I said, rights based. So it was between rights based and rights centered. And you did mention that saying based and the S kind of like throws you off. It did throw me off too, but I still preferred it over centered. So, and I love the acronym RBS. Sounds so much better. So that's how I chose it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. I feel like I have a daughter, and when it came to like choosing the name and all of that, I always thought, how do you decide what's the right name? And I felt the same way when I had to decide on the name for the business. So I always like to ask that to see, how do you get to that final name? So let's move on to the build segment right now. So I know you're fairly new. So maybe we can just talk about where you see your business going. I know you said you would want it to be an agency. So what steps do you see you having to take to get from where you are now to get to that place where you want to be?
I think right now my main focus has been on introducing myself. I have been doing the social media introduction, which I think has had some impact in some way, because I get people reach out to me, so they know who I am as a gender professional. Because gender is in every project. Normally, sometimes people actually hire persons for projects and they look for gender professionals. But I think my biggest leap right now is continue my introductions and my in-person introductions locally. So locally, I've been focused on embassies because they're part of the development ecosystem. And I'm also focused on going to the private sector and introducing to them why human rights is important for them in the private sector as well. So that's my next step. And continuing to, yes, continuing to take the lead of my mentor because we are going to those spaces and just keeping my eyes fresh in terms of what to look for. Hey, Bynta, this consultancy is coming up. Should we apply for it? Do you think we can do it? So these are the things I'm doing right now. So I'm doing it on two levels. My first level is on the regional international level with my mentor. So I'm going with her. So I'm just like on for the ride with her. And on the national level, local level, I am going to the development sector, which is embassies and private sector, to introduce to them who I am because on embassies have projects here as well. We do a lot of projects with NGOs and other agencies, and they might have a need for services of my kind, whether it is gender, whether it is communications. They may have a need for that, whether it is climate change, those who focus on climate change. So this is the route I'm going to right now. So that has been me work. I am doing a master's in project management. I'm doing this intensive gender course right now, and I'm also doing this, but I have to find time to balance and do it. But that has been taking over my life right now.
Yeah, you certainly sound very busy. You mentioned about introducing yourself. And I remember when I saw your post on LinkedIn, I was like, oh my gosh, Binta has a business. She started this business. And I reached out right away. So I know it sounds like you had been doing it a little bit and then it still took some courage, even though you had already started. It took some courage to actually come out and say, people, this is what I'm doing, and I'm introducing myself and my business. So just speak on that a little bit more.
I'm not a gener. What am I? I am Gen Z, right? No, Gen X. I am Gen X. I'm also what we call as the Xennials. I'm I'm the youngest Gen X. So I sit between millennials and Gen X. So remember the computer and social media is not something we we're born into. It is something for me. There are some people who have made the transition quite well because we utilize the internet quite well. But the transition has been so difficult for me in terms of just putting myself out there because I have not grown up in a space whereby I have to say, hey, look at me. I can do this. And that to me is so what we feel maybe might be boastful of what we've been told. And in some degree, there are those who use it in a very boastful manner. However, in the world that we live in, there's so many people with your skill set as well. It's such a competitive environment. You must put yourself out there. I can tell you to this day, I am still very, very nervous when it comes to posting me and posting anything about the business. But I know I have to do it. Like today, I'm working on a video. Repair campaign reached out to me, on my RBS profile on Instagram. And, I think tomorrow is the remembrance of chattel slavery. UN remembers chattel slavery, and there's a campaign going on right now. And I had to do a video. I was like, oh my god, I have to do a video. I have to talk. Not the best video, however, it's going to go up on the Instagram account because it's there, and I want to be able to maybe work with Repair Campaign more in the future. So for me, it doesn't stop putting myself out there. It doesn't, the fear has not dissipated at all. What I have done is to say, in spite of the fear, we're going to get over it because we need to do what we need to do in order to progress. And I think in order for me to have success, this is what is needed in order to be successful. And I cannot be hampered by fear. And so I tell fear, step aside a little while. I know you're there, but I have to step aside for a little while and let me do what needs to be done. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. So even though there is that fear, you do it anyway. You do it scared.
I do it
And
scared. Like I climbed the wall on Saturday. I was doing it scared. I was like, oh my God, Binta. I did it scared, but I climbed the wall.
yeah, even before you started, you were already scared, right? But you got yourself to do it while you were there. You were able to get through it. You were able to use the support system around you to get it done. And now that you got to that goal, you now see other goals, and I'm sure you've come out different too. Like you've grown, you're a better person for it.
It's made me, it's just renewed because sometimes what happens, I think we tend to forget sometimes our own power, our own strength, our own capabilities, because life really does bog you down. Life is life in on a daily, right? So sometimes you tend to forget that. And I think it's always about a renewal process which needs to happen. So we go through life, yes, I'm strong, you go, then life beats you down again. But you need to get to that it's a renewal process and you have to remind yourself. And then different things in your life come into your life and different people come into your life, which reminds you of that power. And Saturday was, yeah, girl, yeah, my legs are hurting right now, my nails are broken, but it reminded me of my power. I'm just thinking about that wall. I'm talking to you right now, and I'm seeing this wall in front of me. And I still don't know how I climbed this wall. A rock wall, a real rock wall I climbed. So we have to be continually reminded of our power because sometimes we do forget. And it's a process of renewal. And renewal happens all the time. All the time it happens. You may have a long gaps between the renewal process, but that's how life works. And it's not going to be easy 100%. It's life be life in. That's what life does.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because we've had some conversations. And then even throughout the different episodes, I've talked about it a little bit about how so many things, they do happen in life. Some things you're like, oh, that would never happen to me. And then it happens. Some things you never even thought about, and it just changes your life so much. And from my own experience, you forget a lot about yourself. And then those things happen to bring you back to that place. So it's not so much, I love how you said it's a renewal. It's not like you just discovered it. You went back and said hello to that person. You brought her back, and she comes back stronger.
So I always believe I'm not the best at maybe even opening up to persons. Intellectually, I'm very good at that. I can actually intellectualize leaning on people, like why I need. It's not the easiest thing. But we must never forget that don't do it alone because you do it alone can be very challenging, can be very demoralizing. You have all the negative thoughts in your head. So always remember that whilst we are saying we're superpower and we are strong, strength also comes with vulnerability, and strength also comes with just leaning on others. You need to lean on others in order to succeed as well. Like I don't believe that anyone has made it anywhere without the help of others. We are social creatures by nature. So while I am individually a strong person, I know that I'm a very resilient person, but I have to recognize the people who have supported me along the way. I have a very good family. I can say I'm thankful that I have such an amazing family and I have amazing friends. So this has really at least given me the strength that I need sometimes when I don't have my own strength in order to move forward.
Oh, that's great. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Bynta. And that takes us now to the Blossom segment. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what success means to you.
What does success mean to me? I think success means me being fulfilled. And I think I'm at a point in my life right now in terms of this. I'm not fulfilled as yet because I want to see this reach a point where I think it is a successful business. So me being fulfilled, I know that's kind of vague. I'm trying to still answer your question, but I'm still thinking of, I don't think this answer is sufficient. But success has to do with, I think, also contentness, internal happiness. And because I think what happens is that we do continually chase things and we spend our lives sometimes chasing what we think will bring us happiness and bring us success. And sometimes we never make it there. So I think for you to be successful, you must also have a mindset of internal happiness, internal peace. It's not easy to get because I was just thinking yesterday, I'm on a spiritual journey. I'm not religious. You've always known that at school. I'm one of those who was a non-religious person. Like, huh? Are you not religious? Yes, I'm still that person, but I am always continuing on a spiritual journey. And I'm on a spiritual journey to know that, yeah, I'm doing this business. I want this. I want to succeed as a development professional. And also me understanding that I have some level of success already and appreciating the steps that you have taken thus far. It's very difficult sometimes not to compare yourself with others, especially in this social media age where you see everything who's glamorized on social media. It's very difficult. I'm not going to say I'm above it. But for me, success at this point, and I had this conversation with myself yesterday, is trying to get that internal peace and happiness. And I'm grounded. I'm like, wherever I'm at in this life, I am healthy. Other people don't have health. I have family. I have food in my belly. That is success in some regard. The first in my family to go to university, my immediate family, the first actually undertaking business. So just appreciating what I have now and where I am now in this space should count as success. Yes. Not the easiest, but that is what I think it should be.
I love that. And I love how you talk a lot about being appreciative. And I know you also mentioned something we keep chasing, right? But we need to take time to really see where we are now and to really appreciate how we got there. And we actually got here. So yeah, thanks for reminding us of that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So we're now moving on to our closeout segment. And I would like if you can share about 3 tips that you can share with all listeners. Something that you've learned along the way, or something you've learned from someone who's gone before you, and you can now share with us.
Okay, I had 3 things written down, but I think one of the first ones is if you're into entrepreneurship, as I say, I rely on people a lot. Miss Betty Comby, who is a project manager consultant, she is an awesome woman. The flyer I shared on LinkedIn, I'm part of this group, the Good Practice movement. And she reviewed my agency profile for me. And she said, Bynta, what is your why? You have to know what your why is. Why are you doing this? For me, I am really committed to promoting gender equality and human rights. And I am right now, since I'm doing my master's, I really want to see it at the institutional level through policy change. I think a lot of times we have treaties signed and human rights talking about in society and gender, but at the institutional level, we don't see a lot of things happen. So for me, I want to see it there. I want to see offices and businesses and government. So for me, what is your why? Why do you want to do this? What is your ultimate reason why? Not just make money. Money cannot be your why because there's so many ways you can make money in this world. The whole 2020 people made so much money in 2020 during the pandemic via computer. So there are many ways to make money. So what is your why? What drives you? If you don't have this intrinsic drive as to why you're doing this, then this will either be short-lived or you won't have the energy to pursue it. You'll just give up on it very easily. So know that. And that's what Betty Comby told me. Peter, what is your why? And I was like, oh, yeah, Betty, what is my why? So that's that. And then when you know your why, I think you'll be better able to mentally commit to this and utilize existing networks. So I think you must be able to form connections. Without connections, I don't think that I would be able to do a lot of things. And because I am able to connect with people, I think that's one of my skills is my ability to connect with people and make people know that I value you. So in the end, it's never too much for people to do something for me in return. So your networks are very important, especially in a small space and especially in a big space. Because how can I get my business at the International Development Bank? Not on my own. Or how can I can't do it on my own. I just started off. It was literally through my connections with my mentor to put my name in different organizations. So maintain networks and connections. People are important. Value people. Show people that they are valued. Everyone wants to know that they're valued. And don't just use people when you want to make, can you help me with something? Hey, what's up? How you doing? I just thought about you today. Yeah. So I think that's important to me. And these are the things for me which have worked and are working.
Great. Wow, I love that. Yeah, treating people as people should be treated, right? And the why, Definitely important. Finding out that why. And I like how you said, it's the one thing that can keep you going even when things get tough, right? Yes. And with this podcast, we're building a community and we like to get guests and listeners to connect. You talked a lot about connection. And would you be interested in people reaching out to you? Is that something you're open
Oh
to?
yeah, no, definitely. I love building my network. so
Okay, great. What
so
are the best ways that we can reach you?
well, you can reach me at RBS Consultancy on Instagram. My website is up. I just haven't made it live as yet. I'm just still working on a few things. And you can reach me at my own email address right now, binta.ernest@gmail.com. It is info at rightsbasedssolutionsconsulting.com is the email address, but you can also reach me on social media.
Okay, and what are your handles like on Instagram?
Instagram is RBS Consultancy underscore consultancy, and on LinkedIn it's Rights Based Solutions, and Facebook is Rights Based Solutions.
All right, I'll be sure to include that in the show notes. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today, and we look forward to speaking with you some more later on a different episode.
Thanks for listening to Begin, Build, Blossom Your Business Journey. We hope today's conversation gave you the insights and inspiration you need to move forward on your own path. Don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. Do you have feedback? We'd love to hear from you at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com. Join us again next week for a new episode.